Welcome back. I'm Calvin, Statue Fanatic, here with another review, and today we're going to take a look at yet my fifth Court of the Dead figure. This is a figure of Xiall, the leader of the bone faction from the Court of the Dead. So the Court of the Dead, they have three factions of spirit, flesh, and bone, and she's the leader of the bone. And actually, if you're really into the Court of the Dead, you already know that you can go to the website and you can take a little quiz to find out which faction you are a part of. I happen to be part of the flesh faction. But anyway, let's get back to the statue. Another really, I think, home run by Sideshow when it comes to the original line of characters. This one, absolutely a beauty to behold. A little bit about the dimensions of the figure. She stands about 26 inches tall, so that's pretty tall for a figure, and that's from the top of the staff here all the way to the bottom of the base. And then she's about, depending on how you look at it, about 13 inches wide because of her arm that sticks out here to the back of where the staff hangs over, and then about 8 inches the other way, length or width, however you want to look at that. But again, this is one of those figures that you can't really appreciate the beauty of it until you actually see it up close, because I've seen pictures of it. And this is one of the original figures that Sideshow put out when they were first announcing the Court of the Dead. I think this figure was announced somewhere back in 2013 at Comic-Con, and it finally came out. And so I'm a little late to the game, like I've said in my other reviews, and please check those out, because in the other reviews I do talk a lot about the figures and a lot about this line, and that there's a whole story, the backstory that supports it. They have their own encyclopedia, and the role they play in Inverness is a really, really interesting story. I'm really looking forward to how Sideshow continues this line. So far, I've only collected, like I said, 5 of them, and there's quite a few other figures that are out there. But this one is one that I've had my eye on for a while. And we'll just start talking a little bit about it and start from the top to the bottom. There's just so much to talk about. The first thing that I have to say is that this is one of the most detailed figures that I've seen. There's just so much going on, and it's just a beautifully painted and sculpted piece. A real work of art. It's one of those things where a lot of people like, I don't collect this because I don't know anything about the characters and things like that. This is one of those pieces for me because of the genre of stuff that I collect, like medieval type stuff, mystical type things, and otherworldly stuff. This fits right into what I love to collect, and it's just such a beautiful piece of art. So starting with a portrait here, as you can see, I mean, there is just tons of detail. It looks like everything about her seems to be made of bone, the entire thing, whether you even see the colors and all of that. There's some armor plating, things like that, but most of it is all made of bone. And so starting with a portrait up there, you can see where there is just a lot of detail and sculpting around her portrait. And as far as it almost looks like parts of her head have been plated together. And what's really cool and interesting about this is that we know what a skeleton looks like, a human skeleton looks like, but they've also taken the bone to make it look like flesh, to give it a human appearance as well, and not just the skeletal part of a person. So looking at that, you can see the thing with her nose, her mouth, and on the side where there seems to be teeth. And then the headdress that she's wearing, all of that just has a ton of detail, a ton of sculpting in it, and it looks amazing. And then the same thing with this collar plate that she's wearing. Now that actually comes off. You put this on first and then you put the head on. And that again, even in here, you can actually see where there are tiny skulls that are sculpted inside of this piece here. Just a lot of work, a lot of attention to detail. And when it comes to the Court of the Dead figures, it seems like Sideshow just goes all out when it comes to these details and the paint and all that stuff. The concept is really cool. I love all those things about it, all the way down to her legs. You see a lot of the sculpting and design in her leg. It's just all over the place here. It's just really cool looking. Very, very nicely, intricately detailed piece. I could talk about so many of the things that are happening on this statue, and it'll take forever to talk about it. I just hope the pictures that you're seeing kind of does justice in terms of what I'm trying to describe as far as the design and the detail of the statue. Now, this is a mixed media piece in terms of its design. It has this layered cape type thing that she wears here. All fabric, 3 layers of fabric there. I'm not sure, I mean, it works with her because she's in this very dramatic pose, and so the way that flows works really well, so I like it. It's not hard to pose the way you put it on. Just watching the Sideshow video was pretty easy to put this on. And she has the same thing with the fabric that's around her arm. And what's crazy cool, it looks pretty frightening there, is that there's these little hands coming out of her side that's just holding this garment onto her. It's interesting when you look at a piece like this because it's horrific and it's beautiful all at the same time, and I don't know how that works in terms of, you know, art, but when I see it, I can see like this is scary as hell, and then you look at it and say, wow, but it looks so amazing. Back up to her head, what's really cool, there's a design detail about her portrait that I like. Her eyes, in the comics, her eyes glow. You know, there's this saying that your eyes are a window into the soul, and she has these black holes in her socket of her eyes right here, but there's these turquoise type looking, the same color of this is what in the comics they call ethera, I think it's what it's called. It's an energy force, and you can see that it's lit up in her eyes right now, and the way that they design that, it's actually suspended in the eye socket, gives it a really cool effect where it's not painted on. I really, really like it. And I noticed that like on the bust that they did of this, that's turned off. She doesn't have that energy in her eyes. And then here she has this scroll. She was created as one of the original Court of the Dead figures that Death created. So technically Gethsemane would be her sister, and this is some type of homage to her from what I understand. Just a lot of things going on here, man. I really like it a lot. I will continue to collect these. I'm not sure what the next piece is going to be that I'm going to get, but I tell you what, if they keep making them so beautiful and so cool like this, I definitely will continue to collect them. I happen to really like the female versions of the female figures that they've collected so far. Another thing with the mixed media, this is an actual metal chain that's around both of her arms, and this staff here symbolizing the power that she has, and then this is the symbol of the bone fashion that this is right, that she's the leader of. One of the characteristics about her in terms of what she does in the Court of the Dead, she reminds me of Spock when it comes to Star Trek, because she is the logical one. She's the one that there's no gray areas is either black or white, and that's kind of the purpose that she serves on the court. She's the keeper of the law, if you will. It's pretty interesting, the story. And then getting back to the statue, the base right here is pretty interesting too, because what she's doing right now, she's actually standing on a crypt, and the way that it's situated, the door of the crypt is turned slightly, and you can see that glowing contrast of ethera coming out of there, like in the Well of Souls from the other statues, like Death, for example. And there's two skulls in here, and you can see the remains of two souls or two individuals in the crypt there, and a lot of detail around the base, and you can see that contrast or that energy, the turquoise type color energy that they call ethera, coming through the design here. Many things about this that are just really cool. On the side here, this actually comes off. It actually holds that on the garment on, and it has a magnet there. But there again, three faces here, lots of detail there. That looks cool. Her hands, all detail sculpted really well. Now, as far as the paint application is concerned on this, man, this is just really awesome. I'm looking at so many tones and shades of color when it comes to this bone. You have the calcified look, and then you have this dark look, and then you have this bronze look, and you have this oxidized look. I mean, it just really flows really well, and it looks amazing. And if I had any complaints about this, it would probably be the mixed media here. Even though it works with this dramatic pose that she's in, it does seem a bit much. I kind of felt like I was playing with a doll for real this time. My friends always call my statues dolls, and this time they have a legitimate case to make against me because it's like I'm freaking dressing a doll. But don't get me wrong, it's beautiful. It really is. It is beautiful, but maybe a little, I don't know, maybe a little overdone. But it displays really well. I'm glad to have this in my collection. And that's about all I have. I hope the pictures, what you were able to see from the pictures, that it's really a freaking amazing piece. Sideshow, I tell you what, I don't know what it is, but I haven't gotten any of these Court of the Dead pieces that have flaws or anything like that. It's like you guys, they take extra care to make sure this comes out, these pieces come out perfect. So my next piece I'm looking forward to getting, and I hope I get that soon so I can review that. And I also have a couple of other pieces from the Court of the Dead that I'm going to review here pretty soon as well. But that pretty much concludes the review. And if you want to stay on top of the latest in the world of collecting, please head over to mcessential.com. That's Marvelous Collectible and Entertainments, where you can find some of the coolest unboxings of some of your favorite pop culture characters, as well as what's popping from Seth, and just a lot of cool collectible things happening over there. So until next time, my friends, peace.